everyone. Thanks so much and welcome back. I really appreciate you being here. This is the channel, guys, that checks the boxes, and welcome back to a fresh series, Ask Sheila. So if you haven't already made your wish, please do so. This candle burns daily for all of you. I pray over my subscribers that you're having a rich, robust life and that all is going well. So if you have not made your wish, please do so. We're gonna jump right in to the content. I do appreciate your notes, and as best I can, I really try to get to as many of them as possible. I know all of you are going through things, and my intention is really to uplift and serve wherever I can. And I want to thank Mel for reaching out. This particular video is dedicated to you, but I'm certain it's going to lift up so many people. So today I'm going to get right to his letter momentarily, but I want to reiterate our title, and that is Your Mental Health and Manipulation. All right. I want to talk about 5 gateways that you absolutely need to guard. And I think after I read the letter, you're going to understand why. So here we go. Dear Sheila, I will be 50 next month. I have always considered myself a smart guy. I ended a long-term relationship, and a year later, voila, what I thought was my saving grace showed up. She was beautiful and lovely, and I thought my lonely days were over. I was so grateful to have her next to me. And before I knew it, we were together all the time. She started telling me that my friends and family were a bad influence. I thought she was being a little bit territorial, no big deal. Nevertheless, I distanced myself from them. Long story short, I had to let her go. She became increasingly demanding, started to siphon off more and more of my confidence, and she actually referred to me as a clown at the end of the relationship. It really hurt me. After giving her my all, I gave her so much. My relationship with my adult children is in shambles. My nerves are shot. Seriously reaching out for some encouragement. Thank you, Mel. Mel, you've come to the right place. I do have that encouragement, and I feel what your letter inspired is really going to encourage so many folks. You guys, I said it once, I said it twice, I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. You have to guard the territory of your life, because manipulators and manipulation comes in all shapes and sizes. And I really encourage you all to get into my playlist. There's over 25 topics on the playlist, and probably the largest one is all the videos I've done on manipulation. My heart is in this work, and Lord knows I'm just trying to shave off any heartache that I can for my fantastic subscribers. I want to talk about these 5 gateways. And Mel, there was a couple gates. Love you dearly. I know you're a loyal subscriber, but quite frankly, there was a couple gates that you left swinging open. They were wide open. And when you do that and you're not manning your ship, that's when problems can occur. It's a beautiful world. It's a fantastic world. And you will hear me reference the beauty of this world in my videos. But why do I place a concentrated effort on the issues and guarding your gate? Because I'm telling you, stumble onto one of these problems and they will interrupt the beauty, okay, that beauty flow you have going on. I don't know about you guys, but day like today, I was hanging out with my daughter. I'm enjoying the sunshine. Those are the good days. I want to keep good going as long as I can, and that is my wish for all of you. So here we go. I want to talk about these 5 gates that you really need to watch for this. Number 1, the gate of gratitude. I'll say more about each of these momentarily. So the first one is the gate of gratitude I want you to watch. The gate of being eager to please. Secondly, being eager to please. Third, low to no self-confidence. Low to no self-confidence. Very important that you're shoring up your reserves in that particular area. 4 is laziness, and 5 is poor communication. Let me really get into the innards of this. Number one, being grateful. I love gratitude. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But folks, we can be grateful in a false way that's rooted in low self-esteem and fear when some of these people show up in our lives. And folks, it's just a recipe. It's a recipe for disaster. Mel, I heard you say I was so grateful to have her next to me. And I'm telling you, that kind of blind gratitude, bordering on worshiping her, putting her up on a pedestal, that likely was the reason you kind of overlooked likely some very obvious signs right from the start that this woman didn't have the best of intentions when she started telling you, distance yourself from your family. You said yourself, you're close to your family. So, there's red flags there. I want to share a story with you to hit this point home. And I share so much with you guys, and I just lay it out here. Okay, tell the truth, shame the devil. I don't have time for games anymore in my life. It is what it is. I really, in as much as I can, try to use my life as just a living example and living testimony of what can go wrong on one hand and what can go right when we're really on this righteous, a healthy path. So, at what point in my life, some years ago, this gentleman, I use the term very loosely because he really wasn't a gentleman, came into my life, and I was diminished. I was diminished. My confidence is not where it should have been. The self-esteem was not where it should have been. And I'll tell you that again, that's another open gate. And I can distinctly remember we were having dinner one day at this lovely Italian restaurant. This woman comes in that he knows. And it's one thing to see a friend and chat, how you doing? That's not what they were doing. This man was basically flirting right in front of me with this woman, extremely disrespectful, very rude. And one would think, well, that should have been enough for you. That should have been the sign, Sheila. But I remember, and again, I have to be totally upfront with you guys and lay it out. I distinctly remember just having the thought, you know what, Sheila, you're lucky to have him. You're lucky he's in your life. And it sounds sick and twisted to me now, but I'm telling you, that's just where I was. And I thank you, God, as I share the story. I say hallelujah for what you brought me out of and how far I've come. Because at the time, that was really my mindset. And what made it worse, guys, this is why I really want to hit this point home. There are people who walk in dignity and walk in honor, and there are people who will sniff out your weaknesses and they will fully use that to every possible advantage. This man knew exactly that he was dealing with a woman who was diminished. My confidence is not where it would have been. And he saw that because I showed it to him on a platter. Any woman who was seated in the fullness of who she is, the divinity of God, that night, it would have been like, good enough. I've seen enough. But I had announced that in so many ways, and a man of honor would have just either stepped away from the situation or not really taken advantage of that. He did the later. He took full advantage of it, you guys. And by the time that relationship ended, and I do consider this person a master teacher in my life now, but by the time that ended, the bit of confidence I had was just caved in. I didn't know if I was coming or if I was going. And again, I received confirmation some years later. I ran into a friend of his, really lovely person. We ended up having lunch, and he was like, Sheila, you look so well. Everything is going great for you. Anyway, this man's name came up, and he said, you know what? We felt so bad for you back then. And we would tell him, she's so nice. Why are you doing that to her? And I said, oh, really? And what was his response? And he said, he would just say, she's a grown woman. She's a grown woman. She knows what's going on. And that was confirmation that he knew fully well his stance and the degradation and the poor treatment was wrong, but because I had put myself in that place because of being so grateful, so doggone grateful, I put myself in that place. And there you go. You guys, you have people who will exploit you. This is the absolute reality. And so there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being grateful, you guys. But this euphoria and enthusiasm, people need to earn that. You need to see that they are worthy of that. And it is very difficult to see when your self-esteem, your self-worth is not where it needs to be. And I'm telling you, just feeling so darn lucky that someone is there. You gotta really be careful with that vibration. You really do, because there are folks, they will sniff that out. They will sniff it out, and they will take you to the cleaners. And you can take that to the bank. And so next, number two, the second gateway is just being overly eager to please. Overly eager to please. Nothing wrong with wanting to serve, nothing wrong with wanting to do a good job, nothing wrong with wanting to make people happy. But you have to understand the origins of that motivation within you. And I will reference a video that I made a few months ago, and I talk about the trauma response. Please look it up. It's called the tricky hidden trauma response that trips us up. And some of us, there's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And fawn is the trauma response where we just kind of jump in and we want to please, we want to make everything good, we want to make everything better. And that is really dangerous when you're operating out here, when you're on autopilot to make everything right, everything good, be the good little boy, be the good little girl. And I'm telling you, that's another vibration that people will pick up. And it's not just people you enter a dating relationship with. Family members will pick up on that. Strangers will pick up on that. A few years ago, I worked with young girl, maybe around 20, 21, just commencing, just starting in life. And her mother knew she had a soft heart, beautiful spirit, and somehow had convinced her to co-sign for this house. This girl is just starting off. Her mother wants a new house, doesn't have the credit for it, convinces this girl, because she has a good heart, to put her name on that document, and just ended up in all sorts of legal trouble, nearly losing the house. It's not something she could afford. And that was a tough lesson for this young girl. But I bring that up because people will do this. It doesn't have to be a stranger, you guys. Family members, so-called friends, can sniff out your weaknesses. So you really have to stand. You really have to stand in the gate of your life and be well informed on the kind of energies that you're putting off. And number three, you guys, is the guarding the gate of your confidence, and low to no self-confidence, where maneuvering and operating out here is concerned. That's another way to get yourself in a lot of trouble. And Mel, as you said, by the time this relationship ended, your nerves are shot, your confidence is shot, and that's really something that I want you to work on, because true confidence that comes from the inside out, people cannot just come in your life and tear that down and shake your foundation. They can do that when you're on shaky ground, but when your confidence comes from the inside out, you are out here fully understanding and knowing, you are operating in your wisdom as a child of God. I mean, people can ruffle your feathers. The very ground that you stand on, the earth can open up, and you will still stand in who and what you are, in the tremendous foundation that you have built for yourself. There are people that will come in, and your lack of self-confidence, that is the permission that they use to start running over you, and they will willfully substitute their will and their judgment for yours, because you are asleep at the switch. I know a fabulous lady. She is master chef. She is self-taught. Dream is to open a catering business. She's one who could do it. I mean, what she's doing out of her kitchen now, just for friends and family, is tremendous. The reason why it's likely not going to happen without some celestial intervention is she has a partner in her life that just downs the idea, talks her out of it every time. And the reality is, as a person from the outside looking in, I know what's going on. This person knows, wow, once you open this business, get your money off the ground and get everything else running, you're probably going to look at me and start asking yourself, what the heck am I doing here? So she has allowed this person, because her confidence isn't where it should be, literally to this person's judgment comes in and it supersedes her. I've seen where she's really just, right there, ready to kind of pull the trigger on this business, and you have someone who's insecure. They see your insecurities, but they're a more dominant personality, and so that opens up the gateway to manipulation. You gotta watch for that, folks. You really do. And the next pathway and gateway I want you to look at is number 4. And it's laziness, and not laziness in the traditional sense that you may think, but it's a laziness that's really tied to not wanting to roll your sleeves up, being aware of deficits within you, being aware that there's just things I need to work on, and turning away from that work because in your mind it's too damn hard. Let me tell you what's hard. What's hard is living a life month after month, year after year, debilitated, where degradation is just kind of using your life like a revolving door, knowing that you could have more in your life, knowing that you could be more, not cultivating your voice, not working on the inner discipline that you need to move your life forward, and coming up short, and watching people around you move on, watching life and the folks in it evolve as is traditional markers of time, having to bear witness to that, and knowing that in your heart, I'm being left behind on the train because I won't roll up my sleeves, have the come to Jesus talk with myself, and do the work that I need to do to step into my full brilliance, my full power. That's what's hard. That is what's hard. So, laziness, guard this gate, because people will come in, you will be manipulated and taken advantage of for one reason only, being too lazy to stand up and stand at the post of your life and do the necessary work to operate in discernment, make good judgment calls, walk away from things you need to walk away from, and so on and so on. So this is a really important gate to take a look at, because the work ethic doesn't just apply to your 9 to 5 or your career. The work ethic also applies to work toward our lives, the work of life, which is the work of balance and wholeness. And lastly, I want to say another gate to watch out for is that gate of communication. I've seen this over and over again. Poor communication, gaps in communication, misunderstanding. It's not always a sure sign that manipulation is going on, but it can be a devastating sign and signal that manipulation is afoot. When people cannot talk to you clearly, answer questions of clarification, don't want to deal with you up front, you guys, that's a problem. And the inability to call people on that is also a problem. If I'm coming to you, man to man or woman to woman, I'm looking for clarification. Even if you're my child, I have questions I want answered, because manipulation can come in all shapes and sizes, all form, and there is resistance. Things don't match up. There's misspoken words, lies, what have you. That is something that you really have to look at. Because I have to tell you, the best people that you will ever meet, the best circumstances you will ever find yourself in, the most healthy. That's where you have a lot of transparency. It's above board, whether that's in business, whether that's in your personal life. You have to look at that, because in the video I did last week, I talk about these tentacles of manipulation, guys. We're being manipulated all the time. I mean, whether that's media, we manipulate each other for various reasons, but there's a form of manipulation, guys, that opens up a direct gate to degradation, and that's really what I'm focused on. I want to prevent you from landing in that pitfall, those pitfalls of despair, if you will. And I'm telling you, when people who have nothing to hide don't hide anything, it's transparent, it's above board, everything makes sense. It's really something to pay attention to. If that gate of manipulate, if that gate of communication, if it's problematic, pay attention, And Mel, this woman trying to cut you off from family members, positive communication with family members, telling you your family members, you know them better than her, are bad influence. I mean, that's just a sheer sign of manipulation. She is shading the truth. She's manipulating the truth. And when you are really standing in the gap, astute and aware, you can shut that stuff down before it happens. So, Mel, what I want you to do, you just got to watch this video again and again, however often you need to. Understand that it has nothing to do with age. We're all on a learning curve here, but you can definitely hit the reset button and use this experience for what it is, for a declaration that this will never happen again. Now you know what to watch out for. When you know better, do better, move forward just in a robust way. Forgive yourself, apologize to your children, get those relationships back on the road. And this is what I call bought experience. A very expensive lesson, but I guarantee you, if you dig in, it's not going to happen again. You guys, thank you so much. I'm checking boxes for you every day, and I'll see you soon.